You're watching Drake Wing Gaming. Enjoy the video. Hey guys, Nary here from Drake Wing Gaming. So if you know me on Twitter, the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you another Let's Play episode of No More Future. This is build 11, and so we've got a new chapter to get through. So, man, I was worried I was going to hit the end of it, but you know what? Sedge came through for me in the end, and he got a new version out before I got to the end of the current build. So let's jump right in, people. Please sit back and enjoy and maintain you for the next 20 minutes, and let's go. Alright, arm chain, you're up. Alright, let's do this. Alright, okay. You do so right away, unquestioningly, like an automaton heeding its master's command. All you can think about is the quickened beat of your synthetic heart in your chest. When the Drake turns and begins to head towards the exit, he doesn't need to shout for you to follow suit right away. You hear the canine's playful voice echo behind you as you leave. Huh. You're not even gonna wait for the desserts to come out. They smell. I don't care. The dragon's response is quick and to the point. I'm not hungry anymore. As you pass by the head waiter on the way to the door, Jasper swiftly pulls him in by the means of his necktie. You saw nothing. You heard nothing. Keep it that way. He's almost choking the old skunk by how hard he's tugging on his tie, yet the man tries his best to appear unbothered nonetheless. His best, unfortunately, is not nearly enough. Indeed, sir. Nothing out of the ordinary happened, and no one will ever suspect otherwise. His frantic tone is all the confirmation the Drake needs, and the CEO swiftly releases him. The waiter needs some time to catch his breath as the Drake heads towards the elevator, his every step echoing in the room behind him. As you rush to follow him, you turn your gaze a final time towards the concerned waiters who have appeared on the scene to look after their shocked colleague. Thank you for the meal. Have a good day. Though your mind is completely fried at present, it seems you haven't forgotten how to be polite, if nothing else. Though your thoughtfulness rings hollow, now more than ever. Hollow indeed. Much like the waiter's own voices. Ever silent and unresponsive as you hastily exit the restaurant. You exit the building with fevered steps and find yourself once again in the busy, colorful streets down below. Jasper didn't wait for you in the elevator like you thought he would, instead preferring to take the long and laborious way down, although also known as the stairs by most. He probably needed a moment or two to himself, you reason, and truth be told, so do you. God, what is wrong with my life all of a sudden? Where'd all these weirdos even come from? Between Jasper's, Bradbury's, even Mary's bullshit, I'm starting to lose my fucking mind. This is definitely not what you signed up for when you chose to become a synthetic, that's for sure. And yet it doesn't seem as though this sadness is going to end this madness is going to end anytime soon. What the hell's even going on anymore? All that talk about Pandora owning everything, how it's too big to fail, and the consequences should it actually fall have completely short-circuited your brain. Alright, that pun was unintentional. Still, what are you meant to make of any of this? Why did Bradbury steer the conversation in that direction? Why does it feel like he wanted you to realize what you did? And why did Jasper even... There you are. A familiar Drake suddenly walks up to you from behind, an annoyed look on his snout. Why didn't you wait for me in front of the exit? What do you mean? Why didn't I wait? What do you think I've been? Only now do you realize you've actually walked a fair distance away from where you thought you were while lost in your own thoughts. You almost turned a corner, too. It's a miracle Jasper even managed to catch up to you at all, judging from his worked-up breathing. Oh, and never mind. Sorry about that. The dragon doesn't accept your apology outright, and instead allows himself a breather by sitting down on a nearby bench, clearly exhausted. You half expect him to start tearing on you at any moment now, but instead he motions for you to join him with a wide movement of his hand. Sit! His gaze appears stern, yet it could be that he's just tired. It's hard to tell when it comes to this guy. You hesitantly rest your behind on the Sealy seat beneath you, leaving as much room between you and the Drake as you can. This is awkward. Jasper appears lost in contemplation, or maybe he passed away with his eyes open. Who knows? You're not sure whether you're supposed to join him in quiet meditation or try and break the silence somehow. Both options seem wrong to you, and yet... I needed some time to myself. Unexpectedly, the dragon speaks up all of a sudden. That's why I took the stairs. I assumed you would have waited to stay away from me for a while in such a state. So he's once again trying to pretend as though you're a real person. Very cool of him. Not all that effective after his distasteful performance at the restaurant, though. You'll need some time before you're willing to take him seriously at his stick again. I appreciate that. Kind of. The Drake's gaze suddenly turns to the sky, an indecipherable expression on his face. I'm sorry you had to bear witness to that spectacle upstairs. It wasn't my intention to behave so inelegantly in front of you and the staff. Truth be told, it wasn't my intention to have that loudmouth show up all of a sudden at all. Yeah, I could tell. Jasper shakes his head vigorously as his tone grows ever so slightly angrier. Why in the world did he have to bring that up all of a sudden? Or show up at all, for that matter? Of all times to intrude and announce and derail my conversation. Our conversation. You make sure the CEO can hear you as you raise your voice. Bradbury may have showed up unexpectedly and caused a mess, but you're the one who went off topic for no reason first. Last time I checked, we were supposed to... I know full well what we were supposed to do. Ever so slightly angrier is nothing more than a euphemism now that Jasper has turned to face you. I don't need you to remind me what my duties are, android. Besides, I don't know what you're complaining about. As far as I can tell, I give you precisely what you asked for. A conversation between equal minds. A far more pleasant and engaging activity than simply crossing out chorus from a mindless checklist, don't you think? I guess? When you think about it, it's not like it was entirely unpleasant to have that talk with Jasper earlier. The unpleasantness only came from the sudden influx of new and frightening revelations. Had Jasper spoken of literally anything else, perhaps you might have even enjoyed your time with him, compared to the alternative he suggests. Even so, I still don't get it. What was even the point of telling me all that stuff? Why go through all the trouble when you could have just asked me, I don't know, what I think of my situation and stuff? Because asking you how you feel is Dr. Shelley's job, and not mine. I'm a businessman, not some kind of make-believe psychiatrist. Rude, but you suppose you can see the logic in his assertion. Still, didn't the owner say... I'm aware of what the owner said. He quickly cuts you off. Believe you me, I do quite well. They want me to contribute to Dr. Shelley's project, and I fully intend to do so in my own way and at my own pace. For now, I simply wanted to address more important things with you that simply couldn't be delayed. He said something along those lines earlier, too. Something about how he couldn't learn more about your situation when you're unaware of it yourself or whatever. On one hand, it kind of makes sense, wanting to enlighten you about some stuff so you're not just stumbling in the dark all the time. At the same time, though, you can't help but wonder if that's truly the Drake's ultimate goal. Still unconvinced, aren't you? Huh? Ah, the Pandora mind-reading trick, an all-time classic. All jokes aside, you probably gave it away with that desolate look on your face, or maybe through the way you clasped your hands. You're not all that great at concealing your emotions, truth be told. If it truly bothers you so much, I'll try to be more engaging the next time we have a moment together. You mean you want to do this again? Of course. Excuse me. You didn't truly think we'd be done with just one session, did you? We have plenty of time ahead of us, after all. And though I'm a rather busy man, you don't appear to be so in the slightest. Well, that doesn't sound fun at all, especially if the next times are going to be anything similar to the first. However, I mean, it's not like I have a choice either way, do I? Oh, for crying out loud, you're acting like I'm sentencing you to prison work or something. It'll just be more of the same. Simple conversations in the midst of lunch or something else. Before he can go on any further, however, the Drake turns to face the other way, an apparently uncertain look in his eyes. Though I can't really fault you for feeling that way, can I? Not after letting that imp run amok for so long. That's actually rather astounding. Is Jasper being mindful of you for once? I guess I'd be lying if I said his presence at the table didn't trouble me at all things considered. I'm not sure if I'd still enjoy myself without him around. No, that sounds like an insult the Drake would hurl at you, not the other way around. You're better than that. What I mean is, I'd feel a lot safer without him around, for sure. But you can rest assured, that worthless second-rate agent will not trouble us again. Second-rate agent. Head of the FBI. Huh, those things don't sound the same. I'll be extremely strict with the management of the next locale I bring you to. No customers, no employees, no elevators, no open windows, and no Bradburys. As appealing as that idea sounds, it's anything but reassuring. You can't quite tell how or why yet, but it feels hopeless in a way. Sad, even. You make as if to speak before you've even finished sorting out your feelings. That doesn't sound like such a great idea, honestly. The Drake reacts at your sudden interjection with a great shock. I think it'd be best if we went about this another way. You want us to be surrounded by gossiping locals? The sheer doubt in his tone almost has you reconsider your position by itself. Yeah, I think it'd be better that way. And what would that accomplish exactly? I thought you'd prefer being alone while we go about our business. Jasper's confused, yet genuinely curious, much the same as you are after hearing that last part of his statement. Is that why you had the whole dining room emptied? To accommodate me? Ugh! Please! Make no mistake, android, I did it to accommodate us. The less people are around, the less opportunities for pests to show up, like nagging customers or nosy journalists. And yet, you're pretty sure he only asked that of the restaurant after confirming you'd be coming along. It doesn't sound like something he would have done otherwise. You're probably reading too much into this, but... No, you're definitely reading too much into this. Well, I just got to thinking. Both times I met him, Bradbury approached me in a secluded environment. Your observation is quick to get the gears in Jasper's head turning, but he allows you to finish before voicing his thoughts. The first time he showed up, it was in the middle of my apartment. Now he showed up in what was essentially a ghost restaurant. I think it's because he only wants to interrogate me in private, or at least somewhere without many eyes on him. I see what you mean. Then what do you suggest? Well, it's not a perfect plan, but maybe he won't show up if we surround ourselves with other people. A man like him would stand out amidst the crowd, after all, and I don't think he'd like that very much. Well, you would stand out, and he would definitely stand out too. It might be a long shot, but it's bound to bring a whole slew of problems in its stead. But if there's any chance of getting rid of that jackass following you around everywhere, you'll happily take it. But there's more to it than that. You reckon you've had enough of hiding yourself from the world by now. Avoiding public transport unless absolutely necessary, avoiding journalists whenever they show up, and now dining in empty restaurants. This isn't how you're supposed to be living your life. Not alone, not afraid. Assuming this is even the time to be worrying about things like these, after that end-of-the-world discussion you just had. Well, your plan does rely on a rather big assumption, all right. Jasper's voice swiftly brings your mind back to his plane of reality, almost making you forget about everything you just wondered about. But I'm willing to take the risk, if you insist. I'll be sure to schedule our next appointment somewhere far more lively and hope things turn out better this way. Your musings are interrupted by the sound of a car pulling over near the two of you, the one you recognize at that. Well, there's my ride. Well. It was all right to dine with you, Isaac. Sans the end, obviously. Now, if you'll excuse me. Hold on. You're not thinking of leaving without me, are you? Of course. Frankly, we've spent more than enough time together for one day for my tastes. I don't intend to sour my perception of you or vice versa by extending that time any further. I'm sure you share my thoughts on the matter. Oh, hell no! You're just looking for an excuse to ditch me! Unfortunately, your accusations fall on deaf ears, mostly because you don't have the guts to voice them out loud. Besides, I'm sure you'll be able to make it back to your place on your own. You hardly need me in that regard. Drake spares no further words as he enters his vehicle, yet you have your doubts, especially as a familiar crowd of people appears out of a nearby corner. There it is! The synthetic! Mr. Synthetic, could you answer a few questions, please? It'll only take a moment of your time. A swarm of journalists mixed with common people encroaches on your position, mics and smartphones at the ready. The sight is becoming more and more familiar with each passing day. You know you said you didn't want to run the news any longer just a few minutes ago. Didn't want to run from the news You know you said you didn't want to run from the news any longer just a few minutes ago, but... who are you kidding? This is not the time to be dealing with these people. Not after everything you've been through in the last 30 minutes. You make as if to book it out of there, but a stern hand coming from within the limousine pinches your trousers. I changed my mind. Get in! You mean... alright! You hardly need convincing to step into the car and close the door behind you, right as the relentless reporters reach your location. They keep shouting questions and prompts at you from outside as the vehicle returns to the road and speeds away, their pleas going unanswered for one more day. Inside the car, you turn to face the CEO, turned to Savior. Thanks! I mean it. Don't thank me yet. I only did this to stop you from blathering about what happened at the restaurant to the reporters. You need to go to the train station to get to your place, correct? I'll deliver you there personally, then you'll be on your own. Now leave me be. I could use some peace and quiet right now. Charming, as usual, indeed. Yet more thoughtful and charitable than you gave him credit for, evidently. Thanks. Your second round of apologies elicits an annoyed sigh from the Drake, and he turns his gaze to avoid yours once more, suddenly looking rather uncomfortable. Feeling a little dejected, you take some time to reflect on your time with Jasper so far. You're still not sure what to think of this Drake, but you feel like you're slowly getting a better idea each day. He's still overtly hostile to you more so than he's not, but he seems willing to improve provided you show him adequate reasons to do so, much like you are. Here's hoping that attitude is not just for show. The trip to the train station is just as slow and tedious as the one to the restaurant from earlier. The streets are a little less packed than they used to be a few hours ago, yet they're still quite time-consuming to navigate. The perks of living in a bustling metropolis, you suppose. Jasper's temporary silence allows you some time to look outside and enjoy your colorful surroundings in relative peace. The gaudy shopping districts soon fade out into housing neighborhoods, which are just as lively as their inner-city relatives. Perhaps a bit too lively, if the Drake's endless sighing at queues of cars before you or anything to go by. Eventually, a peculiar melody breaks the silence in the car, emanating from within the reptile's pockets. Jasper reaches for the source and, after some fiddling around, eventually pulls out a small phone. He opens it and presses it close to his right ear. What do you... The furious shouting coming from the other end of the device is so loud that it startles even you, and you're sitting on the other end of the vehicle. It takes a while for the Drake to recover from the sheer shock of that rambunctious voice, but he somehow manages to pull himself together eventually. For crying out loud, quiet down already, I can hear you just fine. Yet more shouting from the other end of the call. Kind of sounds like a woman's voice if you're not mistaken. And you only know of one lady who wouldn't be afraid of yelling at the dragon before you like that. If only you'd let me answer your bloody questions. The voice pipes down just a tad, finally allowing Jasper a breather. The android is fine. He's with me right now. I decided to bring him to the train station by car so he can head home safely. His expression turns from annoyed to even more annoyed in an instant. What do you mean, why am I doing this? Isn't the answer as clear as day? After some more arguing, he eventually lets out a defeated sigh. You two really are idiots. Catch! With a speedy motion, the Drake throws the phone in your direction almost angrily. Though it's traveling faster than the car, you somehow manage to catch it before it hit you square in the face. That'll be courtesy of your synthetic reflexes or whatever Mary was going on about the other day. You deal with her. Good lord, what a fucking child. Regardless of your opinions on the Drake's temper tantrum, you do as you're asked and try to raise the phone to your ear, hoping that you'll fare better than your companion over there just did. Hello? Finally! Took him long enough! Mary's voice still comes off as somewhat aggressive, but much more relieved now that she's speaking with you. Well, how did it go? Are you alright? Yeah, I'm fine. Why were you worried? No shit I was! I thought you'd be finished an hour ago at least! You take a brief moment to stare at your inner clock, prompted by Barry's apprehension. It looks like it's just about 3 o'clock. Pretty late indeed. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Stuff happened and all. Stuff happened? The doubt in Mary's voice is almost palpable. What did happen exactly? You're not sure how you're meant to answer that question right now, especially with Jasper right in front of you. Hey, aren't you being a tad too forward right now? I mean, I literally died not even 3 weeks ago, for heaven's sake. It's not like it gets much worse than that, you know? A morbid joke for sure, but it's just what you need to crack the Siamese up. Alright, point taken. Glad I could convince you. But for real, I'm fine, alright? I mean, I just had lunch. You don't need to act so distressed. I know, I was only joking. Well, partly, anyway. The feline's tone shifts dramatically downward as she tries to explain herself. I did leave you all alone with Jasper for a while, after all, and we both know how he can be. Well, all the time. Probably not my smartest move after the grilling he gave us in front of the owners. Yeah, I can sort of see the truth in that. After a brief pause, Mary addresses you once again, dead serious. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. I'm still trying to sort my brain out and stuff. That stupid deadline those wheelchair riders came up with really messes with my schedule. But I shouldn't have forgotten about your feelings in the midst of all that. At the end of the day, you're still in my care, and I should have fought harder for you. You have to work hard not to laugh at that last statement, in spite of how much it warms your heart. Jeez, you're making it sound like you dropped me in a bottomless pit or something. I said I'm fine, remember? I know you're busy and all, and you can't take care of everything at once all the time, but it's okay if you had bigger priorities this time. Plus, we literally just ate together. What else do you think might have happened? Okay, that last part might have been pushing it a bit too far, truth be told. You're still debating whether to keep what transpired to yourself or share it with your friends. It doesn't sound like a decision you should make lightly in view of everything you've learned. Even if this does kind of make you just as guilty of hiding things as Mary is. But the Siamese deserves a taste of her own medicine at any rate, or so you believe. Worst case scenario, should you decide or be convinced to tell her the truth later, you can always blame your silence on the Drake. Well, alright then. I'll take your word for it. Mary interrupts your musings at the most opportune time, seemingly willing to believe everything you've told her so far. Again, sorry for nagging you like this. You know how I am when it comes to that overgrown lizard. Yeah, you don't need to tell me. Though, now that I think about it, if you wanted to speak with me anyway, what was the point of calling Jasper? Your query seems to draw the attention of the dragon himself, who leans forward in his seat as if to try and listen into the conversation. Well, I wouldn't have had an opportunity to yell at him if I did that, would I? It takes all your strength not to laugh out loud at that joke, but somehow you succeed. It doesn't look as though Jasper overheard that, since he quickly slumps back in his seat as if nothing happened. He looks irked, for sure, but not as much as he would have been if he had actually caught all that. Anyway, was this about you going back to the train station? Mary once again catches your attention with a well-placed question. Well, despite everything going more or less smoothly, I'm still feeling quite drained from everything. I just thought I'd head home early, and take the rest of the day off. Good thinking. Honestly, that sounds like the best course of action. Yeah, besides, the only thing we needed to do together was get rid of that taser on my tail, right? You have a carefree glance in Jasper's direction. He's currently staring out the window, apparently unbothered by your conversation. But looks can be deceiving, as you know quite well yourself. We can always do that the next time I come over. I'm sure he won't mind. Provided you don't do anything reckless with it. The Drake gives you a quiet warning while he gazes outside, confirming your suspicions. Well, alright then. Sounds like a plan. We really gotta meet up again one of these days. Losing that opportunity to dine out together really sucks. Sadly, it doesn't seem like we can do that today. Like I said, dumb deadlines, annoying wrenches in my plans. Plus that whole warehouse affair from yesterday that I've yet to figure out. Oh, right, you're supposed to go to Chicago and learn more about some stolen synthetic bodies, right? How did that whole thing go, if I may ask? I just realized I forgot to ask earlier. Don't worry about it. We were taking care of other things anyway. Plus, there's not a lot worth mentioning anyway. A bunch of bodies got stolen by unknowns or whatever. 5 to be exact. Alright guys, I'm gonna pause it right here. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and leave a super thanks if you can. It always helps. Until the next video, I love you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!